and welcome back to this latest episode of Making Connections, the BattleCON analysis show where I, your host, Marco DeSantos, try not to do so horribly at analyzing BattleCON online. Recent developments have given me a special power. I can now accept replays from you guys so that I can analyze them. So if you have a match that you thought was really cool and want me to see, or had a match that want me to analyze and say, where did I go wrong? What better place to learn than by submitting it to Making Connections? Just submit it to the email down below and I will get to it whenever I can, or if your game is good enough. Sorry, I mean, like, if your game is literally like 2-3 turns and then someone dies, there's not a lot to analyze for that, you know what I mean? So we'll have to see. Not every game will make it, but the games that do will be really awesome. Alright, so I've also changed my streaming setup. I have green screen. It's not perfect, you know, there's some artifacting and stuff. I will find a way to fix it, don't worry. But for this episode, let's just live with this for now. I've also have this new power. Whoa! Yes, screen transitions, as well as the ability to green screen on top of the game. So, without further ado, let's get into Seven versus Cesar. This is between Fast Hippie as well as TKRKS, two awesome community members that have been with us for a while. So, let's go. So this is gonna be an interesting match. I'm probably not gonna be, what do you call this? Scene transitioning a lot anymore. You get the joke? Because her first name is Null. It's like literally the Null symbol, and then her last name is Seven. So this is an interesting matchup. Seven recently got a bunch of buffs, that especially for her unique base absorption, which allows her to cap the damage she takes to 4. And Cesar being a predictable character. Okay, so wait, let's talk about this. In this game, this matchup is really interesting because Seven is a character who likes getting hit, but she doesn't like being low on life. On the other hand, she also has absorption, which is a unique base that damage caps, which means that she can't take more than 4 damage the turn she plays absorption, which is pretty good. On the other hand, Cesar is a character who builds up and then crashes down. The thing about this, though, is that Cesar is very predictable, right? So when he gets to threat level 3, which is where he gets +3 power, Seven can easily just play absorption and then cancel almost anything that Cesar does. This turns out to be a big part of this matchup. This matchup is all about conditioning. You'll see why. Conditioning is a very simple concept, you know? You make your opponent think that you do X, and then at some point, you take advantage of that and do something else instead. In this matchup, you guys will see, I'll spoil it. Seven barely dodges in this entire matchup. In fact, Seven only dodges once. But the one time that Seven does it is the most crucial one. So, we will see how this plays into the game that we watch. And let's get back to the game. Sorry about that, just had to explain what this episode's gonna be all about. So, this cold shot's very powerful. There's not a lot that Cesar can do early game. He's bad until he's level 2. So, this bulwark dodge is interesting. I'm not exactly sure why, but it results in a clash, and it's now bulwark shot against cold drive. This is a very good beat for Seven, actually. See, if you're the faster character against a heavyweight, you technically don't trade even against them. So the mere fact that Seven is trading 4 for 4 is really good. Compound on top of that the fact that cold, what do you call that? Gives the opponent negative priority next beat. And Cesar's not actually able to make use of Bulwark very well because he doesn't actually want to retreat with this. It's actually looking real good for Seven right now. Seven's main thing is that if you get to the late game on low health, you lose. So we have to watch out. Seven's styles also upgrade whenever she's hit. So whenever you hit her, her styles actually change. So now you saw that style is now different. Now it has power 2 as a base. That's pretty powerful. Like, by default, it just has power +2. So Cesar now has a bunch of bonuses and stuff. Cesar shouldn't really care about how much priority he has because he has all the stun guard he'll ever need. This is a really good play from Fast Hippie's 7. Reserved Burst is really powerful here because only a Phalanx Suppression or Phalanx Drive would be able to beat it. It seems that those are the most obvious plays, however. So when the opponent reveals their attack, I'm actually really shocked that that's the case. You see, the opponent ends up playing a Inevitable Suppression rather than a Phalanx Suppression. And this is really interesting to me because Reserved Burst hard counters this. This shows the power of Reserved, by the way, because it's such a powerful style that prevents opponents from entering spaces adjacent to 7. It acts as a soft dodge, well, a hard dodge counter, as well as counters most drives. Reserved Burst is one of the best attack pairs 7 has. So I don't understand why Cesar did Inevitable Suppression in this case, because not only does she have access to Burst, she also has access to Remote, a style that makes her retreat 2 spaces. 7 essentially has 2 bursts. So that Inevitable Suppression, I'm not sure why that was the move that they did. So it seems that 7 is now in the lead, a very commanding lead. This is actually going to be a pretty long game. It's around 17 minutes. So strap in for the ride of your lives, guys. So this is a very interesting beat. 7 can actually dodge in this case because she's at range 4 from Cesar. Cesar's now on beat 5. So a Phalanx Drive will work. Therefore, at this point in time, it's actually really good for 7 to do Absorption. Because it's now beat 3, Cesar now has the +3 power, and Cesar can't pretty much do anything about the Absorption. He just has to hit her for 4, she'll heal 2, and then next week she'll have +2 power. It's a really, really hard matchup for Cesar. Back to the game. So there's the Phalanx Strike. I am not sure why he did Phalanx Strike at this point in time. He will completely miss 7. 7 will get to heal for 2. I guess one rationalization for this might be that next beat is threat level 4, which means that Cesar will get stunned. He doesn't want 7 to have +2 power, because then he'll be taking a lot of damage next beat when he can't do anything about it. But even then, he can easily just dodge this beat and literally evade almost everything 7 has. No, literally everything 7 has can be evaded with the dodge. So I don't think that was the optimal move for Cesar. And this is one of 7's ways of hitting full board range, by doing Remote Drive from this range or Remote Shot. At this point in time, Cesar's best option is to dodge or Burst. I don't think Burst is a good idea either. So dodging might be the best. There you go, there's a dodge. In fact, I think it might have been best for Cesar to do Fuel Dodge. That way, next beat, he'd be at 1 threat rather than 0 threat. Cesar's worst beat is like 0 threat. Ironically, because like he doesn't have the soak from threat 4. Threat 0, man, is just so bad. So 7's doing a great job here because she's a character who wants to get hit a lot to upgrade her styles. But green style and yellow style, so that's the 2 that she just recently played, green and yellow style actually don't want to get hit, because when they get hit, they transform into base styles that are weaker than the original versions. That's just the way 7 works. Not all of her upgrades are direct upgrades. They make her more aggressive rather than defensive, but against a juggernaut character like Cesar, a defensive style is way more useful. So, at this point in time, 7 just has access to a lot of options, and 7 also is going to be faster than Cesar most of the time. All of his styles are pretty slow, but this beat is really interesting to me. 7 really wants to get Cesar down low, so she antis more power, but forgets that she doesn't have any more force to counter anti-priority. So Cesar counter antis priority. And at this point in time, Cesar actually goes faster and plays an Inevitable Drive. This is a very powerful beat for Cesar, beating out the Reserved Grasp, because maybe Fast Hippie was attempting to hedge parry. Anyway, Cesar, boom, Stuns her. Oh, if you're wondering why he didn't advance, remember, this style reserve prevents him from going to spaces adjacent to 7. This is space adjacent to 7, so he can't do that. So, now, Cesar gives 7 power -2. And now he's at threat level 1. This is a very good situation for Cesar. He'll almost always positively trade. If I were in his shoes, I would do like a fueled suppression. A fueled suppression would be really powerful right now. It would trade up against almost everything and prevent any dodges. This heated shot is quite powerful indeed because the next beat it'll negate Cesar's power bonus. A phalanx strike, so there is a clash. Oh right, this is that beat. Okay, so now there's another clash. I was actually expecting, so now that all of 7's ranged options are gone, I expected Cesar to burst. He does, but then she does absorption. Again, it clashes. This is a clown fest, man. Alright, so now it's a phalanx grasp versus a heated strike. And it goes into the favor of 7. 7 trades up against Cesar, despite the fact that Cesar gave her power -2. A really, really good beat from Fast Hippie. All those parries all together ended up with him getting a winning combination. So all of those reads were really good. All of that beat was really powerful, and it was just such a good beat from the 7. So congrats, Fast Hippie. That was a really good beat. So, what now? In this situation, he still has suppression. So fueled suppression is still a big threat. And in fact, it would probably be the thing that I play this beat. So with that in mind, 7 actually doesn't want to dodge right now. So she plays the detached drive, which is a good idea, right? Try to get in some fast damage while the opponent is doing suppression. However, I think what happens during this beat? We'll just have to see. This... yeah, so it'll be like a trade. But Cesar does dodge. I don't think this was the best dodge. I don't think getting rid of Unstoppable is a good idea, because it just affords Cesar a lot of hit confirm against burst, against remote, against dodge. So with 7 still having dodge in hand, I don't think the Unstoppable was such a good play. So she doesn't get a good well, she doesn't get a good hit in, but she's able to reposition at least so that she can there you go. She's able to reposition so that she can still dodge with a burst, which is really good, and so that she can still dodge backwards for a cool way to avoid suppression now that both Unstoppable and Phalanx are down. Oh my gosh, remembering all of these style names is killing me. So, okay, pause. Let's pause right here and consider the board state. Oh wait, let's just get rid of that. Okay, consider the board state once again. Cesar is now at 3 threat levels, and this means that Cesar will deal a lot of damage. And as usual, 7 will do the very, very good play of doing just absorption, because she's like, absorption has stun guard 4. It doesn't let me take more than 4 damage, and it heals me for 2 and gives me +2 power next beat. It's almost always like a really good play. But I will have to give big kudos to the Cesar for this beat. So I would like to thank the Academy. Cesar actually does a really cool move here. And when he does this attack, it actually blows my mind. Inevitable Drive is much faster than Switch Absorption, and it deals 6 damage. So I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, it doesn't work out. Maybe Cesar's just trying to get 7 low power so that on his threat level 4, he takes the least amount of damage possible. But then this happens. Well, we know that it was faster, but this happens. Cesar will then advance 1 so that he can hit 7. I was like, huh, yeah, that's fine, that's absolutely fine. Then he's gonna hit 7 for some damage, 4 damage, it's not gonna be a lot. Stun? Huh? Oops, sorry. Play back video. There you go. Sorry. Again. Okay. So if you're wondering what just happened, Seven just got stunned. Despite the fact that she can't take more than 4 damage and she has stun guard 4. It took me a while to realize that Inevitable actually has ignore guard on it. Like, when is that ever useful and when do people ever use that ability? So I'm really impressed with DKRKS's move this beat. And now it's a 8-8 game. So originally it was all in 7's favor. Now it's up. Now it's even. So we'll see what's gonna happen next, you know? 7 will have a lot of damage next beat, but she has power -2 and Cesar has soak 2, giving him effective soak 4, which means that there's not a lot that 7 can do to deal damage. The most I think she can do is like heated shot or heated strike or heated drive. Heated shot, there you go, so it'll only deal 3 damage. What can Cesar do? Cesar can clash this so that it reverts to a strike. And I think that's so the best way to counter this move is to actually just clash it and then get out with a burst. Is that what happens? No. So Cesar just decides to eat it. And eat it a lot. But this is good, you know? Cesar is trying to get rid of the bad stuff in his hand. So you might be wondering why he played Bulwark Grasp at this point in time. Well, if you think about it really carefully, Bulwark as a style and Grasp as a base aren't the best moves Cesar has access to. So it makes sense that he's trying to get rid of all of these options from his hand. So let's get back to the game. I'm just trying to do some analyses. Boom. Takes 4. So now it's an 8-4 game, and this is where 7 likes it the most. She likes the fact that, what do you call this? She likes the fact that the opponent is low. That way she can execute them. But Cesar has a few tricks up his sleeve. So now it is beat 1. I'm thinking to myself, man, 7 hasn't played dodge this entire game, right? And at this point in time, I think Cesar would be best to do a fueled shot so that he gets to his beat 3 or 4 much faster. I think Cesar makes a few mistakes here not doing fueled as much as I think they should. So there's the switch dodge. And 7 is forced to retreat to first because of start of beat priority mattering. And now she's cornered. She's cornered now. And this is really, really dangerous for 7. Okay? And also for Cesar. And now we will talk for a brief length about what I believe to be the best parts of BattleCon. Let's have this beat end first to get rid of all of these styles and bases from hand. Come on, end it. Come on, end this beat. I want to talk about it. It's going to be an interesting beat. Alright. Let's talk about this board state, shall we? 7 is up against the corner. Cesar is right in front of her. Cesar has access to suppression, which prevents opponents from dodging. On the other hand, 7 has access to a lot of attacks that can deal 4 damage. Literally, a switch drive would deal 4 damage at this point. Switch drive anti-power, of course. So what can Cesar do? Cesar has 2 options. Number 1, he can say, 7 will probably try to kill me with a fast attack, and he can play level 4 protocol, his overdrive finisher. This is a very powerful overdrive finisher. It is range 1, power 9, priority 11. Basically, if 7 does not dodge the speed, 7 dies, right? On the other hand, Cesar is in a pickle as well. You see, Cesar can choose to kill 7 right now, but 7 can easily dodge. And if she dodges, Cesar still kind of gets a beat next beat, but it's really, really bad. Because 7 will gain access to Heated once again, and Heated will basically destroy Cesar because next beat he'll have no power to basically stun 7 out of Heated. And he has no dodge either, so it's kind of crazy, it's kind of weird, we don't know what will happen. So Cesar actually has a really interesting read to do here. He can do a level 4 protocol, which is the overdrive finisher I talked about, or he can do suppression, then do level 4 protocol to instantly win the game if 7 dodges. But remember what I talked about earlier? Do you remember the thing I talked about earlier about conditioning? You see, at this point in the game, it has been 11 beats, and 7 has not played dodge a single time. Not a single time. So, Cesar has absolutely no reason to think that 7 will dodge this beat. And Fast Hippie takes advantage of that. Ooh, this is gonna be a really interesting beat, trust me. So, what does 7 do at this point? She dodges. Finally, the one dodge where it matters the most. Cesar probably doesn't see this coming, because he's like, oh, she can kill me. She has all the reason to be able to kill me. So I might as well do level 4 protocol now. This, everyone, this is very interesting to me. She dodges instead of doing absorption. Just wow. It's such a good beat. Such a good beat. He could have done suppression. He could have done a variety of things. But 7's options just overwhelmed him. Oh, by the way, she could have just done absorption, which is a thing. Because, whatever, man. Absorption's so broke. So, Cesar misses the level 4 protocol. That detached dodge came in when it mattered the most. This is a mistake that 7 makes, by the way. She decides to retreat 1 space back, which is weird because now 7 doesn't actually have a lot of options at range. I mean, sure, she's getting a heated shot back, but yeah, this actually exposes her to a lot of like pitfalls to her game plan. But it's absolutely fine, you know, it's gonna turn out the way you expect it to turn out. Okay, so here's a cool interaction that's gonna happen during this beat. Here's a really cool interaction. Really cool interaction. So, if Cesar actually had antied 1 more power and hit with that 1 extra power during the previous beats, he would have won this beat, by the way. He would have won because Fueled Shot brings him to threat level 3, giving him stun immunity. Now, this might not matter. Isn't he dead? Right. Cesar's actually dead on the board right now. He has 5 priority. The opponent has 5 priority, he only has 1. So 7 will now come in and then deal 5 damage and kill Cesar. So it's a GG. It's a good game. It was a very interesting game. I thought it would be way closer than what I expected it to be. But hey, you can't have everything, you know. GG. Wait, what? So, unkillable triggers, and usually unkillable stuns you. However, now that Fueled has given Cesar threat level 3, he gains stun immunity, and he's able to retaliate back against 7. And deals 7 damage, leaving her at 1 health. It's a 1-to-1 game. However, despite all of his best efforts, despite literally clinging on to the precipice, to death's door, it's not enough for Cesar. During the next beat, 7 can deal more than 2 damage, which will be enough to kill Cesar through his soak 2. And that was a good game. That was a good beat. That was actually a really good beat. Of course, hindsight is 2020. Against that heated drive, Cesar could have done something like, I don't know, inevitable drive, anti-priority or something, and then that would have won. But you know, we're not all psychic. We don't know everything the opponent will play. And there you go. It's a done deal. So there are multiple beats in that game where Cesar could have easily won just by guessing differently. For example, in the previous beat, if he had done this inevitable drive, he could have gotten there. Wait, let's just make doubly sure that inevitable wasn't in the discard. Yeah, it wasn't. Alright. So, this inevitable drive, It's done. It's over. 7 goes in and kills him. And it's a good game. Oh, no, despite the fact that he's faster, he gets stunned from threat level 4. Let's just make that very clear. 7. Oh, she feels bad. It's a very interesting game. Very interesting set of beats, in my opinion, and a very cool game from Fast Hippie. So, everybody give Fast Hippie some congratulations in the comment section down below, and give TKRKS a good game for playing that Caesar game really well. Certain games just don't end up going your way, you know? And sometimes your opponent is able to condition you into thinking certain things. In that game, Fast Hippie was able to condition TKRKS into thinking he's probably not gonna dodge this beat. And then he dodges during the one beat where it matters the most. So, that pretty much does it for this episode of Making Connections. As usual, if you guys like this video, please click the like button, as well as the subscribe button and the bell notification, so that way you'll support us and help us give you the sweet content you guys crave and deserve. If there's any replay you want me to see, please contact me via email so that we can figure out the way to get the replays to me, and they might be featured on this episode of Making Connections, or rather on the next episode of Making Connections. So, without much else to say, thank you so much for watching, and thank you, World of Indians. Thank you, and good night.